Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from the Frontier. I trust the week's gone well. I was talking to somebody this morning and saying the week goes by so fast. It's kind of spinning away like a spinning top. Political reflections, Mike Pompeo. I don't want to talk about any of the facts, he said. Sums it up. Now, this is a really long article in Wired which caught my attention, and I might have to bore you with it, but it's, I think, tremendously good. Inside the British Army's secret information warfare machine. It was the summer of 2017, and on this military base nestled among the hills of Berkshire, I was visiting a part of the British Army unlike any other. They call it 77th Brigade. They are the troops fighting Britain's information wars. If everybody is thinking alike, then somebody isn't thinking, was written in foot-high letters across a white board. The men and women of the 77th knew how to set up cameras, record sound, edit videos, plucked from across the military. They were proficient in graphic design, social media advertising, and data analytics. Some have taken the Army's course in defense media operations, and almost half were reservists from Civvy Street with full-time jobs in marketing or consumer research. Focused on creating attitude and sentiment awareness from large sets of social media data. Explaining their work, the soldiers used phrases I had heard countless times from digital marketers: key influencers, reach, traction. You normally hear such words at viral advertising studios and digital research labs, but the skinny jeans and wax moustaches were here replaced by the crisply ironed shirts and light patterned camouflage of the British Army. Next to a digital design studio, soldiers were having a tea break, a packet of digestives lying open on top of a green metallic ammo box. Another sign on the wall declared, "Behavioral change is our USP." What on earth was happening? Ever since NATO troops were deployed to the Baltics in 2017, Russian propaganda has been deployed too, alleging that NATO soldiers there are rapists, looters, little different from a hostile occupation. One of the goals of NATO information warfare was to counter this kind of threat, sharply rebutting damaging rumors and producing videos of NATO troops happily working with Baltic hosts. Information campaigns such as these are white, openly, avowedly the voice of the British military. But to narrower audiences in conflict situations, and when it was understood to be proportionate and necessary to do so, messaging campaigns could become, the officers said, grey and black too. GHCQ, for instance, also has a unit dedicated to fighting wars with information. It is called the Joint Threat Research Intelligence Group, JTRIG, an utterly unrevealing name as is common in the world of intelligence. JTRIG was in the business of discrediting companies by passing confidential information to the press through blogs, etc. By posting negative information on internet forums, they could change someone's social media photos, can take paranoia to a whole new level, as Slide read. They could use masquerade-type techniques, that is, placing secret information on a compromised computer. They could bombard someone's phone with text messages or calls. A tool dubbed Badger allowed the mass delivery of email, another called Burlesque. Spoofed SMS messages, clean sweep would impersonate Facebook wall posts for individuals or entire countries. Gateway gave the ability to artificially increase traffic to a website. Underpass was a way to change the outcome of online polls. They had operational targets across the globe: Iran, Africa, North Korea, Russia, and the UK. Operation Quito was a campaign running sometime after 2009 to prevent Argentina from taking over the Falkland Islands. Running from March 2011, another operation aimed for regime change in Zimbabwe by discrediting the ZANU-PF party. It didn't work, though, did it? Walking through the headquarters of the 77th, the strange new reality of warfare was on display. We've all heard a lot about cyber warfare, about how states could attack their enemies through computer networks, damaging their infrastructure, stealing their secrets. But that wasn't going on here. Emerging here in the 77th Brigade was a warfare of storyboards and narratives, videos and social media. And engagement now doesn't just happen on the battlefield, but also in the media and online. A victory is won as much in the eyes of the watching public as between opposing armies on the battlefield. Warfare in the information age is a warfare over information itself. Then jumping to 2008, Oprah Winfrey warned her millions of viewers that a known paedophile network has over 9,000 penises and they're all raping children. That was a 4chan Dragon Ball themed in-joke someone had posted on the show's message board. 1 year later, Time magazine ran an online poll for its readers to vote on the world's 100 most influential people. And 4chan used scripts to rig the vote so that its founder, then 21-year-old Christopher Poole, commonly known as Moot, came first. They built bots and sock puppets, fake social media accounts to make topics trend and appear more popular than they were, and swarmed together to overwhelm their targets. They started to reach through computers to change what people saw, and perhaps even what people thought. They celebrated each of their victories with a deluge of memes. Digital media savvy merchants are weaponizing their knowledge of commercial social media manipulation services. It's like an assembly line. They prepare the campaign, penetrate the target audience, maintain the operation, and then they strategically disengage. It's only going to get bigger. A range of websites started selling fake accounts described, categorized, and priced almost like wine, from cheap plonk all the way to seasoned vintages. The huge mega bot pack, available for just $3 on the darknet, allowed you to build your own bot army across hundreds of social media platforms. There were services for manipulating search engine results. You could buy Wikipedia edits. You could rent fake IP addresses to make it look like your accounts came from all over the world. And at the top of the market were legend firms running tens of thousands of unique identities, each one with multiple accounts on social media, a unique IP address, its own internet address, even its own personality, interests, writing style. The lulz are transmogrified into a business model. Warfare in the information age flashed across the British military. We are now in the foothills of the information age, the memo announced. Moral, psychological, cognitive, informational struggle, as Gerhard Simmel put it, was now central to how conflicts should be fought. Mark Owen Jones, a researcher at Exeter University's Institute of Arab and Islamic Studies, exposed thousands of fake Twitter accounts in Saudi Arabia, lionizing the Saudi government or Saudi foreign policy. Bahrain, spam-like operations aimed to stop distance finding each other. In Mexico, an estimated 75,000 automated accounts are known locally as Pena bots, after President Enrique Pena Nieto flooding protest hashtags with irrelevant, annoying noise, burying any useful information. Disinformation and deception have been part of warfare for thousands of years, but across the world something new was starting to happen. Information has long been used to support combat operations, but now combat was seen to be taking place primarily, sometimes exclusively, through it. From being a tool of warfare, each military began to realize that the struggle with, over, and through information was what war itself actually was about. It wasn't confined to Russia, China, or anyone else. A global informational struggle has broken out, dozens of countries already doing it, and these are just the campaigns that we know about. It's no accident the 77th wear the chinte on their shoulder. Like the Chindits, they are a new kind of force, an unorthodox one, but in the eyes of the British Army also a necessary innovation, simply reflecting the world in which we all now live and the new kind of warfare that happens within it. Even worse, this kind of warfare benefits authoritarian states more than liberal democratic ones, that's a fact. So, I take you back to an article where I was quoting something from the US Army War College Quarterly in 1997, where the US officer assigned to the Deputy Chief of Staff Intelligence charged with defining the future of warfare wrote, "One of the defining bifurcations of the future will be the conflict between information masters and information victims. The information warfare will not be couched in the rationale of geopolitics," the author said, "but will be spawned, like any Hollywood drama, out of raw emotions, hatred, jealousy, and greed. Emotions, rather than strategy, will set the terms of information warfare struggles." 5th of December 2016, I wrote a piece called "We Have a Deviate Tomahawk," and I started by quoting one of my favorite writers, Don DeLillo. The specialist is monitoring data on his mission console when a voice breaks in, a voice that carried with it a strange and unspecifiable poignancy. He checks in with his flight dynamics and conceptual paradigm officers at Colorado Command. "We have a deviate tomahawk. We copy. There's a voice. We have gross oscillation here. There's some interference. I've gone redundant, but I'm not sure it's helping. We are clearing an out frame to locate source. Thank you, Colorado. It's probably just selective noise. You are negative red on the step function quad." It was a voice, I told him. In that article, I was saying I have no doubt that Putin ran a seriously 21st century, predominantly digital program of interference which amplified the Trump candidacy. And I said, if you're going to do something like that, the first thing is plausible deniability, and the second thing is non-linearity. And I was saying traditional media has been disrupted. Insurgents can broadcast live and over the top. And from feeding the hothouse conspiracy frenzy online, a constant state of destabilized perception, timely and judicious doses of WikiLeaks leaks, which drained Hillary's bona fides and her turnout, motivated Trump's, what we have witnessed is something remarkable and noteworthy. Let's move on, but that was fascinating and a great article. I haven't seen many that have understood it in its entirety. CIA has a recording of a phone call in which the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman gave instructions to silence Jamal Khashoggi as soon as possible. This is Hurriyet. President Erdogan, whose normal modus operandi is one of bluster and braggadocio, has played this macabre murder on Turkish soil with some finesse. In particular, the drip-drip feed has meant closure has been all but impossible for the House of Saud, or is it the House of Salman and the House of Trump as well? This is the 32nd US airstrike in Somalia reported by AFRICOM in 2018, says Laura P. in DC. And to wit, the actual release from US Africa Command is also linked. Pakistani police gunmen stormed Chinese consulate in Karachi, killing 2 police officers. Smoke was seen rising from the building. The Baluch separatist Baluch Liberation Army claims responsibility for the attack. In a phone call to Al Jazeera, the spokesman says 3 Fidayeen attackers are armed with guns and grenades and are fighting police. The important point about this is, the Gwadar port, which is a big Chinese investment and part of the encirclement of India, in part, is in Balochistan. And if you look at it from Xinjiang to Balochistan, these are volatile areas, which could be a little bit like a tinderbox.